I forgot to add order flow, so I wanted to do that for you guys. It's gonna be quick, I think, hopefully. And this is actually an important thing. So if you watch my through Z video, this is like an addition to that, okay? Okay, so for order flow, right, for a buy or sell program activation, right, smart money reversals activate once a key level has been engaged with SMT plus time frame alignment. So this is when we actually look for order flow to be in respect, right? We want to see, well, first, right, this is when order flow is respected, right? Because manipulation, distribution. In distribution, right, is actually when order flow is respected, not in consolidation, not in retracement, distribution. Okay, so what has to happen for distribution to occur? We must manipulate, aka we must hit a key level, a fair value gap, or a swing low. Right, in a buy program, price respects lows or rejects lows. Sorry, rejects lows, displaces through highs, respects down close candles. So this is when you see order blocks. This is when you really want to use order blocks in distribution. Um, right, displaces through opposing order flow. So in a buy program, the sell side of the curve, the opposing arrays, they get right inversed and they're used as support. And we displace through EQ of opposing ranges. Okay, so let's go into some examples, right? Pretty simple. Like I said, we only look for order flow once the smart money reversal has been put in, right? So let's go to a little depiction here, right? So this is the activation, right, of a swing low with SMT. So, right, let's go over here, right? SMT, higher time frame key level has been engaged. Now we're waiting for time frame alignment. What is the alignment? A change in state of delivery, a candle close, like in my video. We're looking for that, right? And on the lower time frames, right? So the time framed alignment, let's say this is the daily swing low, this is the hourly sell side of the curve, right? We want to start to disrespect sell side or opposing PD arrays, right? So this can be fair value gaps that were respected on the sell side of the curve. I'm going to show you some examples of that. And also high probability order blocks that are on the sell side of the curve. So first, let's go over high probability order blocks. Kind of forgot to do that, fuck. But it's very simple. All right, here's one, right? And all this is an order block that swept liquidity, right? Here's the other version, right? It puts in a failure swing, but it's SMT, okay? So either or, right? And the change in state delivery is your order block. And again, once a key level has been engaged for all of these. Key level being a fair value gap, another high probability order block, or a higher low, okay? And what is another high probability order block? A propulsion block off of a high probability order block. So right, this is a higher probability order block because it swept liquidity. Once we tag this and respect it, the series of down close candles that dug into this fair value or this order block, right, is right a high probability order block. And for order blocks, just like a fair value gap, we ideally want to see the upper end respected. Right, and what else makes a high probability order block? Well, an order block that creates fair value gaps, but also an order block that is formed off of a fair value gap. And if this isn't premium, let me, if this isn't premium, this is when we look to the left. We want to align this with an opposing PD array that got inversed, right? Because price could easily just do this, right? Yeah, in distributions, right? This is how it's going to look with order blocks. So that's really it. I just want to go over that quickly. Right, so let's say this is the daily, right? This is the hourly. So see how price is closing above. Uh, we have a change to delivery, right? Closing um, above down close candles and using a support. We're rejecting lows, ideally with SMT, and also respecting fair value gaps, right? In combination to this order block. Uh, so yeah, basically any fair value gap from the left side of the curve, but specifically the ones that got respected are really good. If you go and study that, right? And once we reject lows, we want to have S&P there ideally, or hit a key level, right, inside of a key level, and this is where we look to buy, right, and, as well as these fair value gaps. And right, once we displace through the EQ of the range, right, that's strength, showing strength, right, likely to take out the high, right, once we have bullish order flow through the EQ. And as well as premium opposing arrays, so the premium arrays inside of this dealing range start to fail, then that's where you have strong order flow. So very simple, but now let's get into some examples. All right, try to ignore this up here. Okay. So we're going to be focusing on this sell side of the curve. So what is the criteria, right? We must engage with a higher time frame P level, right? So this being the swing point, and if you use the next day model rule, right, the first candle hits it. If we want a reversal, then this candle must form the reversal candle, which it does. And what do we have there? Is SMT, right, at the reversal point. And notice how we start disrespecting PD arrays, right, and displacing through lows, right? And now we have, let me go and delete this. Now we have, right, we're rejecting the inverse fair value gaps, right, twice here. And why is this a breakaway gap? Right, because you have a breaker and an inversion. So when you have PD arrays, right, they kind of act like resistance. And you want to see these breakaway gaps, by the way, because they signify strong order flow. Right, and then look here. Drag out the sell side of the curve. Like as you see this respected BISI, right? Once it gets closed over, seal price comes back into it. And this is where you have PD array alignment. You have the inverse and this, what do you call it? You have this order block as well as this fair value gap, right? And notice how we're rejecting highs. So as soon as we hit this high, we're instantly falling back into the range, displacing through lows again. And what do we target, right? If I go to the weekly, you have a large range from low to high. And notice how we are disrespecting, right, the arrays on the sell side of the curve. So you see this BISI right here, how it was respected once it gets closed over, open high into the inverse, low close, and then we start to distribute to the low because we start to disrespect PD arrays and we start to displace. Say we're closing below lows inside of discount, right? That's not what you want to see if you're bullish, right? This is very strong order flow. So that's one example. Now we're going to go over to this random pair. And we're on the monthly chart. I'm going to show you two examples. So look here, right? What's our activation, right? A swing low or a fair value gap. So this swing low with SMT. So if you know my next day model rule, this is the first candle, right? We're either going to reverse off of this next candle or this candle low. But we just straight up distribute. That's what you want to see. And how do we confirm that? With the time frame alignment, which would be the daily. So this is the monthly open, right? Monthly open, right? We go open, kind of like a double purge action. We take this swing point, we splice lower, creating the low of the month here. You also have SMT inside of that candle's wick, the previous month's candle's wick. So this acts as a protected low almost. And you see the activation of that buy model. Is this swing point low. So now let's go to the hourly chart. Now we expect distribution, right? Because we have the monthly activation, now we have the daily activation. Now let's go to the 1 hour. All right, so we're waiting for that day to close, right? It closed a reversal candle. As you see inside of that key level, or sorry, inside of that daily, we have already had the smart money reversal, right? We take out these lows on here and have this SMT. You see how it took out the short-term low? Now this is the order block that becomes high probability. Drag that out, right? You see how price closes above these series of down close candles, right? And notice how we are rejecting all these lows. Every time we hit a low, displacing back in the range. Every time we hit a low, displacing back in the range, right? And these down close candles that take lows, displace back above highs are high probability um, order blocks. And now this is what I'm talking about with the fair value gap. So this fair value gap was respected here because it broke structure. So when this gets closed over, you see how price uses it as support. And now we have PDR alignment as in this order block and this fair value gap. So now study price. Let's go ahead and delete this monthly open. So now we're getting bullish order flow through the monthly open. All right, so what is the order block here? Well, you have an order block here. Let me show this here. Okay, so, but you also have a breaker. So why does this get left open? Right, because we have this breaker, right? With the up close candle, right? And this would be the sweep, right? I mean, you could count this as a breaker too. The wick, doesn't really matter. You have this fair value gap. So you have two PDR alignments. And what is a higher probability order block? If it forms off of a key level, which is this bullish fair value gap. See this down close candle, price respects that. And again, closes over that SIBI on the sell side of the curve. So now we're starting to displace through opposing PD arrays. And then you have the propulsion block, right? Gets respected here, right? Displacing through highs. And now you have this order block that gets formed off of that inverse. And it gets respected. See all these down close candles get respected. We're rejecting lows. You have this fair value gap right here getting respected. This down close candle. So you have this sweep inside of these key levels. This is where high probability turtle sweeps happen. Right? Why is this an order block? Because it swept liquidity into a key level. So price comes back to this level. Right? So this becomes a order block or breaker. Same thing. Price comes back to it. Right? What are we doing? Also disrespecting fair value gaps. Right? We're rejecting lows. Every time we take out a low, we're getting some type of reaction. But we take this low into a key level, and then we displace to the high. And now this becomes an order block, right? As well as this. See how all of them get respected? It's because we're in a distribution phase on the daily time frame. So use that time frame alignment. And this is when you see all of these levels get respected. So let's go to one more example, and we'll wrap it up. Pretty short video, straight to the point. I believe this is a monthly example too, maybe. I don't really know. I kind of forgot. Yeah, same thing here. Let's just go here. Okay, so let's even like, so why does price get ugly around here? Why do you guys think that? Well, it's because we took out buy side liquidity. So you're gonna have the strongest order flow to a higher low or a fair value gap. Once that gets taken, right, we need to another activation, right? So think of it like that. And what is the activation here in this example? This monthly swing low. If I go on the daily, right, voila, and then you get distributions. So you get distribution, right? Pretty clean move up. Maybe you hit this key level because this is a high probability order block here, as well as a fair value gap because it broke structure. Also, premium discount. So what is the activation again? Short-term low. So you have to get these clean moves. Why is this an order block right here? Because it took out a short-term low. Now you have the propulsion block. You know what I'm saying? This is where you get clean price action. But I'm not talking about that action over there. Talk about this. Okay. So we take out this monthly swing low. So what validates this as a buy program, right? It's when we get that daily activation. So here we start to close over this high probability order block. So this becomes a breaker block. That's all it is. A breaker block is just a failed order block. As you see, we close over it, and then we get a series of down close candles, right? Now you have a bullish order block as well as a fair value gap. See how we're displacing through highs now? And now this becomes a propulsion block. We start to take lows out. So what would this be? A buy activation, a new buy activation. And what would this be on the lower time frames? This is where you look for the 1 hour bullish order flow. Same thing. To what? To this high. Right? So buying the lows, offset distribution, right? Buying the sell stops, distributing them to the buy stops. Does that make sense? Here you don't really have any fair value gaps on the sell side of the curve really. Um, maybe you could say, this is why like sometimes for me like mitigation blocks are a little subjective because I don't see any of these like I guess you could say it's a mitigation block, but it doesn't really matter to me. Like to me, this would be a decent. I don't know. It just doesn't make fucking sense. Um, I only say this order block here because it mitigated a fair value gap, but I don't know. Don't really worry too much about the sell side curve. It's when we get to premium, really. But yeah. As well, like, right, every time we run a short-term low, we want to look for SMTs. But hopefully you guys get it. And notice what happens, right? We take out the draw. What happens? We consolidate, right? Expansion, consolidation, right? And now you're just waiting for a new activation, right? And what kind of is a invalidation of order flow is when we hit a key level, we start to displace, and then we start to displace back down, right? Then that's when you want to start looking at, is there any SMT here? Are we, respecting down close candles now? Are we rejecting highs? Well, then if we are, displacing through the EQ here, then we're likely just to go to this low. It's pretty simple. All right, so hopefully this helped. I just wanted to put that out, and now this is my last video. But I'll catch y'all later. Yeah, see you later.